mansion house needs haunting. Who you gonna call? Well, if Rentaghosts involved, definitely don't call the Ghostbusters, because that's never gonna end well. Hello, I'm Retrospective UK, and welcome to this Halloween special retrospective look back at a BBC Kids TV show that was a massive part of many of our childhoods growing up in the 1970s and 80s. Rentaghost is one of my favourite shows from old kids telly, and as it was on our TVs for over 8 years, I figured I can't be the only one who loved it. So let's float on over now and take a closer look at
Rentaghost.
Running from 1976 to 1984, over a total of 58 episodes in 9 series, Rentaghost was a family-friendly kids' TV show written by comedy scriptwriter Bob Block, who sadly passed away in 2011. Rentaghost was a company started up by Fred Mumford, a recently deceased ghost who hasn't got the hang of his supernatural abilities yet. He wants to employ ghosts from the spirit world who were failures in life and give them a second chance at making something of themselves by using their supernatural abilities to help the living with problems that are too difficult or dangerous for mortals to deal with. So Rentaghost is launched onto an unsuspecting public, and over the show's 8-year run, we're treated to a pantomime-like collection of slapstick jokes, laughs and scenarios that worked surprisingly well in a TV format and still hold up by today's standards if you're willing to overlook the 1970s aesthetic and production values. The ghostly characters had access to a wide range of supernatural abilities to get their jobs done, and could use their psychic energy to teleport, shrink, levitate, fly, move objects, pass through walls, and whatever other supernatural feats the show's writers could think of as plot devices. The show featured a varied cast over the years, with new characters introduced and some replaced on a regular basis, but the basic format remained the same for the entire run, with one exception. After Series 4 ended in 1978, actor Michael Derbyshire, who played the principal character Hubert Davenport, passed away, and his fellow actor Anthony Jackson, who played Rentaghost's boss, Fred Mumford, declined to appear in future episodes. Series 5 continued in 1980, with Rentaghost's landlord and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Meaker, taking over the company. The character's absence is briefly explained in episode 1 of Series 5, when Timothy Claypole explains to Mrs. Meaker that they've gone on an extended tour haunting stately homes.
Must be very difficult without Mr. Mumford and Mr. Davenport to help. Where are they, anyway?
On an extended tour, haunting stately homes. They are a great success, playing twice nightly to packed houses.
Oh!
Now, we can't do a retrospective on Rentaghost without mentioning the memorable and frankly awesome theme song that greeted us at the beginning and the end of each episode. Thankfully, this wonderful example of songwriting genius was kept in for the entire run of Rentaghost, which is nice as theme songs are often changed in TV shows that run for many years, and this can be a contentious issue for fans. The song was written and performed by Michael Staniforth, who played Timothy Claypole in the show. Undeniably a multi-talented man. The music was split into multiple segments, and we'd sometimes get different verses from the song playing in different episodes, so there was never a full version of the whole song played on the show. However, through the magic of modern digital editing, I've put together a full version of the theme song using audio from different episodes. It's in a video on my other channel, and there'll be a link to that at the end of this video, and also in the description. Let's take a look now at some of the main characters from the show and a little bit about the actors who played them. These are listed roughly in order of appearance, and the information here is accurate at the time of making this video in October 2023. Fred Mumford is the boss of Rentaghost, an unremarkable man in life who feels he had nothing of value to contribute and now cherishes his one good attribute, his self-respect. He decides to set up Rentaghost to help himself and his fellow spooks find meaning in the afterlife and to help living mortals with their unsolvable problems. Played by Anthony Jackson, who passed away in 2006 at age 62, also known for his voice acting work and his roles in shows such as Bless This House, Lovejoy and Doctors. Timothy Claypole is a wisecracking, mischief-making medieval court jester who, in his own words, spent his life rising from obscurity to oblivion. His mischievous ways automatically qualified him as a poltergeist in the afterlife. Played by Michael Staniforth, who passed away in 1987 at age 44. Also known for his theatre performances and appearances in a number of TV movies. Hubert Davenport is an elderly-looking Victorian-era gentleman who in life was handicapped by ill health, but is now delighted that since dying, he feels much better, and is now enthusiastically ready to provide his services. Played by Michael Derbyshire, who passed away in 1989 at age 62. Also known for his roles in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and a number of other TV shows and films. Hazel Meaker is the rent-grabbing landlord who is initially fooled into believing that Rentaghost is the name of a weird pop band, but later learns and accepts the truth about their ghostly origins. Played by Edward Brayshaw, who passed away in 1990 at age 57. Also known for Doctor Who in the 1960s and numerous other TV roles. Ethel Meaker is Harold's long-suffering wife and his business partner after the Meakers take over the Rentaghost business in Season 5. She wasn't introduced until Season 2, but became a regular alongside her husband Harold right up to the end of the final season. Played by Anne Emery, who passed away in 2016 at age 86. Also known for The Dick Emery Show, Julia Jekyll and Harriet Hyde, and The Billy Elliot Stage Show. Phil and Sheila Mumford are Fred Mumford's parents. They don't know that their son Fred is actually a ghost. They thought he was just temporarily lost at sea and now believe he has returned home alive. Played by John Dawson and Betty Alberge, who died in 1984 and 1991 respectively at ages 64 and 69. John was known for various TV roles and Betty had a major role in Brookside in the 1980s. Arthur and Rose Perkins are the Meakers' neighbours, introduced in Series 4. After witnessing weird goings-on at the Meakers' house, they come to believe that their neighbours and their strange friends are all mad but ultimately harmless. The Perkins remained as regular characters up to the show's final episode. Played by Jeffrey Segal and Hal Dyer, who died in 2015 and 2011 respectively at ages 94 and 76. They were both known for their numerous TV roles. Adam Painting is a local businessman who repeatedly tries to involve Rentaghost in his own business endeavours. First introduced in episode 4 of Series 3 as an annoying neighbour who throws loud parties. Rentaghost's attempts to scare him off fall on deaf ears, as he thinks the ghosts are just costumed guests at his party. Played by Christopher Biggins, who is currently aged 75 in 2023. Known for the Rocky Horror Picture Show in 1975 and loads of other TV roles. Catastrophe Kate is a rootin'-tootin' whip-cracking cowgirl ghost who rides a second-hand witch's broomstick because her ghost horse is lame, although the broom does inexplicably utter horse neighing noises when it's in use. She's also a dabbler in magic and potions. Initially introduced in episode 5 of Series 3, she appeared occasionally as an incidental character after recommending her friend, Hazel The MacWitch, as a more qualified potion expert. Played by Janice Sheldon, who is currently aged 78 in 2023. Known for TV and movie roles including Jack and Nori, The Shining, and Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Hazel The MacWitch is the resident broomstick-riding magic and potions expert at Rentaghost, sometimes referred to as Witch Hazel, like the skin ointment. She was initially a rival of Timothy Claypole due to his jealousy of her potion skills, but she quickly becomes one of the team and a Rentaghost regular. Played by Molly Weir, who died in 2004 at age 94. Known for various movie and TV roles including Scrooge and Bless This House. Dobbin, the pantomime horse, was introduced during the Christmas episode in 1978 when nobody was available to perform inside the pantomime horse suit. Timothy Claypole casts a spell on the empty costume, bringing it to life. Timothy's limited magical talents are unable to reverse the spell, so Dobbin becomes a regular character from Series 5 onward, taking up residence in the home of Harold and Ethel Meaker as a rather troublesome pet. In Series 8, Episode 5, the horse suit actors finally get to show their faces after a spell transforms Dobbin into a two-headed centaur. Played by William Perry and John Asquith. William Perry died in 2018 at age 78, and I couldn't find any further information about John Asquith. Both were also known for numerous TV roles over the years, often concealed in costumes. Tamara Novek was a nanny in life and is initially hired by Rentaghost at the start of Series 5 to look after children for their sideline business, Rent-A-Nanny. She was a florist before becoming a nanny but had to give it up because of her hay fever. Now as a ghost, she retains a ghostly remnant of her allergy that makes her sneeze whenever she sees flowers, and the sneezes cause her to unpredictably teleport at inopportune moments. Played by Linda Marshall, who is currently age 80 in 2023. Known more recently under her married name Linda LaPlante for her prolific writing career. Nadia Popov is introduced as Tamara Novek's replacement in Series 6, after Timothy Claypole explains that Tamara went to Holland and is still trying to sneeze her way out of the tulip fields. Nadia is Tamara Novek's cousin and shares the same traits and Russian accent. It would appear that her introduction was simply an actress swap, covered up by the whole cousin name change thing. She's arguably the more memorable of the two characters, although that's probably because she was a later introduction who stuck around for much longer than her predecessor. Played by Sue Nichols, who is currently age 80 in 2023, known most famously for playing Audrey Roberts, later Audrey Potter, in Coronation Street. Whatsisname Smith was an unremarkable man in life who now regrets his life of mediocrity. He was so forgettable that the doctor who birthed him referred to him as Whatsisname, and the name just stuck. He turns up in Series 7 asking for a job so that he can redeem himself in the afterlife. He fails to impress at Rentaghost, so they send him back to the spirit world to practice his supernatural skills. He eventually returns and becomes a bit of a busybody, helping to keep Rentaghost running effectively. Played by Kenneth Connor, who died in 1993 at age 75. Known most famously for his numerous roles in Carry On films. Susie Starlight was an actress in life. Now in the afterlife, she has the appearance of a magical fairy and the ability to grant wishes. She is very proud of her acting achievements and she's a bit of a diva. She is tricked at the start of Series 9 into becoming a cleaner for the Perkins after she's told that it's an acting role. She takes the job, but ends up causing chaos by granting wishes willy-nilly whilst eavesdropping on other people's conversations. Played by Amy MacDonald, who is currently age 81 in 2023, known for her numerous acting roles in movies and TV shows. Of all the TV shows I remember watching and loving in my childhood, and there were quite a few, I have to admit that Rentaghost is probably at the top of my list of favourites, and it's probably because of the laughs its unforgettable characters gave me and my sister as we watched it together, and the sheer fact that it ran for so long. It was on the telly from when I was 2 to when I was 10, so it would have played a major role in my TV watching life during those formative years. In hindsight, having watched it again extensively for this video's research, I found myself chuckling at a lot of the old jokes and characters, and I have really enjoyed it. So I think it still holds up today as a worthwhile watch. Now, regarding modern day availability of the show, I found that Rentaghost episodes are actually quite difficult to get hold of. Currently, in 2023, Series 1, 2 and 9 are available on ITVX, BritBox and Prime Video, but Series 3 to 8 unfortunately now no longer exist in anything but bootleg form recorded from TV reruns and converted to digital video files. Back in 1993, somebody at the BBC decided that most of the original Rentaghost tapes were of no use and decided to keep only a few for reference. The tapes were wiped and sold on as blanks, so it's very likely we'll never see them legitimately on streaming services or physical media ever again. As for the DVD and VHS releases, only Series 1 was ever made available on those formats, and second-hand copies occasionally sell on sites like eBay now for about £40. As always, I reached out to you guys on social media for your comments and memories, and a few of you replied. Ology3121 on YouTube says it was an absolute favourite as a 10-year-old, growing up in a massive, spooky pub in the 70s. Quite an appropriate setting for a show like Rentaghost, I imagine. Gary Lawless on YouTube had a similar experience to me, watching it with his sister, and loved Mr. Claypole and his silly antics. It was one of the telly shows that they'd never miss. Karen Hewen on YouTube remembers it being a favourite and watching it after coming home from school at age 12. Herbert9241 on YouTube very eloquently wrote about his exposure at a young age to various horror genre TV content, waxed lyrical about Dobbin the pantomime horse, admitted to encouraging his baby brother to watch Rentaghost, and then finished off with a self-deprecating claim about not having anything to contribute. I'll admit, I had to check a dictionary a couple of times whilst reading this comment. Cheers, Herbert. John F. UK on YouTube remembers the show very well and was impressed by the idea of being able to teleport by holding your nose and jumping in the air. John mentions the significant changes to characters over the years and considers it all to be silly but innocent tea time show fun. DesCheers2217 on YouTube only vividly remembers bits of the show, particularly Mr. Claypole, and after watching it again recently on BritBox reckons it's still good fun to watch. Over on Mastodon, Dave Bulmer remembers watching the reruns on TV at about age 7 in the early 90s, and the confusion he suffered over Miss Popov also being on Coronation Street as Audrey Roberts at the same time, and the fact that nobody seemed to explain how this character in a boring grown-up show could also be a magic teleporting ghost on kids' TV. And finally, in a private message, my sister, Liz, bless her. She remembers how madcap funny it was, and how for people of our generation, those characters have always stayed with us, even if the details of the backstories have escaped us over the years. So what did you think of Rentaghost? Do you remember it? Did you somehow manage to miss it? Or maybe it just wasn't worth your time? Whatever your opinion, whack it down in the comment section and we can have a chat about it there. And if you'd like your thoughts featured in a future Retrospectives video, be sure to follow me on my various social media accounts, where I'll be asking for your input whenever I'm working on something new. Links to those accounts are in this video's description. We'll finish off now with the end credits from Rentaghost's final episode, but first I'd like to thank everyone who contributed their comments, to thank you for liking and subscribing, and to thank you all for watching Retrospectives.
That door leads to the cellar!
Don't go!
Hurry to the cellar!
If your mansion house needs haunting, just call Rentaghost. We've got spooks and ghouls and freaks and fools. Rentaghost. Hear the phantom of the opera sing a haunting melody. Remember what you see is not a mystery, but Rentaghost. At your party, be a smarty and hire Rentaghost. If you want a fright, climb the spooky heights with Rentaghost. You can let our spirits move you and for fun play Ghostman's Knock. Because we begin to shock, we hope your knees will lock. That's Rentaghost. Let me see the most terrific silly ghost, that scientific, very supernatural gooeyes of the day. Every step in your attic means a spectre telepathic is descending just to spirit you away. Hey! We are extraordinary fellas here at Rentaghost. To be another you'll ever come to Rentaghost. For a biography with ghost practice, I'm not forgetting a ghost script. An apparition crypt from deep inside a crypt. Rentaghost. An apparition crypt from deep inside a crypt. Rentaghost.